Whoa there, Space Cowboy. Brokeback Bebop is a podcast with explicit content intended only for mature bounty hunters. Listener discretion is advised. Listen to all 40 steamy sessions of the show right now by supporting Brokeback Bebop at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay.
3, 2, 1, let's jam!
Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Zonde. Have a great rest of your day, sir.
Watch out for that rain. Chocolate rain. That's who that guy is, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Brokeback Bebop, everyone. I hope everybody's doing okay and you're ready for another week of this stuff. You ready, buddy?
Yeah, I'm excited, but Zach, I got this weird thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
yes, and tell me about it.
I got bit by something and it left this weird purple rash. I'm just not feeling like myself.
Yeah, I do tend to do that. I apologize. I just had to give you a little nibble. It'll clear in 6 to 8 months.
I deserved it. I did leave you in the fridge for a year.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Brokeback Bebop. I am Zach.
Hi, I'm Steven.
And today we're talking about the 11th session of Cowboy Bebop. Right before we started recording this today, Steven was like, oh, hell yeah, we get to do Ganymede Elegy. We've done it already. We did it already.
We did it last time.
Today we're talking not about that one. We're talking about Session 11, It's Toys in the Attic. The episode was storyboarded by Kunihiro Mori. It was directed by the same person, Kunihiro Mori, and it was written by Michiko Yokote. The episode originally aired in Japan on May 15th, 1998, and in the US on October 8th, 2001. What I want to ask you, what's your Bible as it comes to leftovers in the fridge?
I will eat leftovers. Danny doesn't eat leftovers unless I heat them up and present them as if they are not leftovers. So for me, I'm all good with leftovers. I like it. I don't normally have leftovers,
specifically,
though.
What are your rules? Do you have a this type of food is good for this period of time? What's your max? How old?
As long as it doesn't gross me out to open it, I'll eat it.
I have a little more class than that, I think. I'm actually really picky with leftovers. I really like leftovers. I really like having leftovers. But if I haven't eaten something the second day after, I'll throw it away. I either have to eat it the next day or the day after that. And some things, then I will open it and it'll gross me out. What are your favorite leftovers?
I don't really care.
What do you like to eat cold? Cold pizza? Are you a cold pizza boy?
Cold pizza, cold hot wings.
Cold hot wings is great.
Yeah, cold hot wings are really good.
I know you don't really like boneless wings, but that's kind of the way to have them.
Yeah, I'm not a boneless wing guy. It takes all the fun out of it.
Well, it's because you have no shame. Some of us don't like to put on a presentation of carnivory while we are eating at a
you've seen me eat hot wings in person, haven't you? Yeah.
Well, I know that you've done it
BW3s.
so much that you have a method to it, but I feel like your average person can't do it without making a clown out of themselves. And buffalo wings offer a nice fork option situation.
Yeah, that bone is clean. You could wash a baby with that bone when I'm done with it.
I've seen how your tongue can work.
Yeah, really just in cartoons when they put a fish in their mouth and pull out the skeleton?
I was thinking
that,
more, can you put the entire hot wing in your mouth and you pull it out and the bone's tied in a knot to show that you're good at analingulus?
Yes, actually.
Those are my two go-to leftovers as well. I like that shit. Because then there's some stuff that's not as good. You know, leftover fries, not a good thing. Well, boneless wings and pizza are the two times that I often am most likely to have leftovers. Because often, Lily and I will order a pizza and it'll get here late. And really, after we've eaten 2 pieces apiece, we're fuller than we thought we were going to be, especially if you get breadsticks or something. So you usually end up with extra pizza and boneless wings. or not boneless wings, wings in general. For whatever reason, that's the time when I am able to go to a restaurant and be like, I'm going to order around 50 of something.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that's allowed and acceptable there. And they don't bat an eye. They're like, yes, 50 pieces of chicken coming right up. And I'll bring home like 30 of them.
Yeah. The most recent leftovers I had, though, there's a really good Japanese place that I order from on Uber Eats sometimes, and they have like really good ramen. Actually, and when they deliver it, they deliver the contents of the ramen in one container and then the broth in another one, which is amazing because I don't use the whole thing of broth in the ramen that I like eat at the time. So I save it, and then you can use that broth again to make your own ramen the next day. So I did that, and it's delicious. It's amazing.
Baby, you got a stew going.
Yeah, I make
so you're
a fair
okay
amount of
with
ramen,
like, because a lot of times when you order ramen, it's like a bowl of soup with all the stuff in it.
Yeah. And
like a lot of noodles, but a lot of broth. And soggy, or it's just a lot. If you just want more of like a wet noodle, not like soupy noodle. Yeah.
Well,
really
and
like
Japanese ramen is traditionally served in pretty sizable portions.
Nowadays, around the Fishers, Indiana area, there's some good places to go get ramen.
Nice. I've been to a couple places in Chicago that I like that are pretty good.
I went to a Thai food place for lunch the other day, and I got like a delicious like spicy basil pork fried rice.
Ooh.
Very like
nice.
The spice was so good because it was a different kind of spice. It was a little bit of a dry heat. It was just, not your average spice. It was like...
Totally.
I could tell that it was like a Thai family that was running the place, and they like knew what they were doing. And it's one of those places where they're like, stupid American, you say you want spicy, you don't want spicy.
You don't want spicy.
And I'm like, I want pretty spicy. Like, I'm not trying to hurt myself at this lunch, but I am of that stature. So, like, spice me up.
Hit me with it. Yeah.
Hit me with it. Let's talk about the episode. Before we get into what we thought about it, did you write down any trivia?
I do have some trivia for you. I have 2 trivia questions.
Yeah, I just have 2 as well. They're kind of softballs. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'll let you go first, Zach.
Wow.
Age before
Such
beauty.
a generous lover. Sure. What? I guess I am older than you by months, right?
Yeah, like 6 months. Half a year.
What 2 creatures are offered to Jet as medicine?
Ooh, it's kind of like a little salamander guy.
I put a green lizard kind of thing.
Yeah. What does Faye roll in the gamble with Jet?
Snake eyes.
Snake eyes. Correct.
And my other question, what did Spike leave in the fridge for a year?
Oh, Ganymede rock lobster. Ganymede rock lobster.
Rock lobster? I can't do it. Can you do the rock lobster voice? B-52s. Do you know that song?
Yeah. I
Family
think
Guy.
more of the rock lobster. The rock lobster. VeggieTales did a version called Rock Monster that slapped.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
I think it was from the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything movie.
Okay, well, let's use that to segue into the episode.
I have one more question.
I kind of thought in
I have one more question.
No, you don't. I kind of thought in
I
another
have one more
universe,
question.
This exact plot would have made a great episode of VeggieTales.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Ask me
I
a
agree.
bullshit question.
Where does Faye get bitten?
So on the arm. Is it somewhere a little more lewd? Wink.
I mean, depends on who you are, I guess.
Right, right on the foot.
No, she was bitten
The most
on her
erotic
right
part
calf.
of the body. Okay. Yeah, I could sexualize a right calf.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
worked hard
noise
enough.
you just made. Let's talk about this episode. Before we watched it, you went on a thing about the last time you watched it. Oh my God! What?
Hey.
Oh yeah. Okay, sure. Do your thing.
You're missing something. Zach was trying to skate his way out of
so today's episode
the people's
is about
favorite
a little old
segment.
baby blob that just slides around. Well, I'm not. This doesn't count. This is not
Hey,
it.
don't start.
I'm moving past it.
Everything from the time that I announced the segment's taken into consideration, so we got to be careful with what you're doing there. We're gonna find out.
you
Everyone,
haven't done
did
it
Zach
You haven't done it yet, and you
comprehend
never will.
the episode this week? The part of the show where we find out if Zach comprehended the episode this week. Zach, it's our first bottle episode.
Sure.
How do you feel about your comprehension? I mean, they're all on the ship.
Yeah, I feel fine.
Okay, Zach feels fine. I can't think that we need any more fanfare or hoopla before we get going.
As always, it's a matter of can I get it all out in 20 seconds, but I feel like I have as good of a chance as any with this one.
You know what? My hopes for you are high.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because we
On
got
go, like always,
high
3,
hopes for a living.
2, 1, go.
Okay, so something mysterious bites Jet while they're all having downtime on the ship, and everyone searches after what this thing is. Everyone one by one is hit by this thing, while Spike especially takes after this thing, which ends up being a fucking blob from a fridge. The lesson of the story is throw that fridge into space. It's gone. And then they all die, I think.
Stop. I don't really know
Yeah, sure. Because, like, did I miss anything?
how to process that.
Because, like, did I miss anything?
You talked about Spike a lot, called it this thing. You didn't say what the thing ended up
I said
being.
that it came from the fridge, but I didn't say it was a lobster. Sure.
Yeah.
I throw the fridge in space.
You did say throw the fridge in space.
They all died.
Not Ed.
No,
Ed
Ed
also
got.
was not bitten.
I thought Ed got bit at
Ed
the
did
very
not get
end.
bit.
I'm almost positive. That
No, Ed ate the thing.
Oh, true. I was. Yep. Mm-hmm. Stop listening to me. All the shit I said counts. That didn't count. Can I get it? Ref? Can you pull a card? They pulled a card. It was a queen of diamonds. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
That means somebody's getting Sancho'd later. Find out what that means on next week's episode. I actually don't. That doesn't have anything to do with the show. I just said a word. I think Sancho's a kind of like Japanese salt. I don't know.
I feel like I
actually,
did
that is
better
true.
than you're about to grade me for.
Hey Zach, why don't you not assume what the proctor of this exam
You don't know what kind
is
of.
going to say?
Maybe I'm playing mind games.
I don't think it's helping you. C+.
Why?
It was very surface level. You didn't actually tell me anything. You said there was a thing a lot. You kind of danced around it. I didn't
Yeah,
get
I'll be
who was
honest.
bitten in what order.
Singing that Panic at the Disco song as you were counting
It
down.
threw you off.
It didn't help
Yeah.
me. I would have done better had
It
I
did
not
not.
done that.
I agree. You were a little delayed on your start, but it's okay. C+, not bad.
Okay.
Just wasn't anything to write home about. Like, don't put it on your fridge,
Speaking
but don't
of C+,
throw it away and hide it either.
What do you think about this week's episode of the show?
So this is an episode that I have a lot of conflicting thoughts about because I love the characters, I love the show, but no matter how many times I watch this episode, or even video essays that I've watched on why it is actually a good episode, it's just not for me. It's not my favorite of the show. I think that I enjoy some aspects of it, and I think that it's well done for what they're trying to do. It's not my favorite episode.
Why? Give me a little bit more of the why of it.
I don't have a problem with an episode being inconsequential. Most of the episodes of this show are inconsequential. But I think that for me, as well made as this show is, I think that this episode could have been written in a way that either built a little more suspense. Because we know they're not going to kill off the entire main cast.
Sure.
We don't really get a resolution other than the fact that, okay, the fridge is gone and then Ed ate the thing. I don't
But
think
they're all
that
still sick and lying on the floor.
they're all still sick
Yeah.
and like unconscious, floating around in zero gravity, which is it's funny. Like it's allowed.
Well, they're
to
pretty
get
much
to the
left for
position
dead
they're-
without a hint of what's going to happen, and it's not something
Exactly.
that's continued in the next episode.
There's not a lot of dialogue this episode at all. There's a little bit of narration over the top, which is a little bit different for this show too.
Sure.
And it switches from Jet narrating and then goes straight to Spike narrating. When I think it could have been a little bit better done if it went through each of the characters as they got bitten. Like it started with Jet and then it switched to Faye, and then when Faye got bit, then it switched to Spike, and at the very end it switches to Edward. I think would have been really funny and would have tied together the theme a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't fill my cup the way the show normally does. I don't dislike it. I don't skip it when I watch through the show, but it's not one that I'm ever going to choose to watch out of context.
I think I like this episode more than you did, but most of my smaller criticisms are a lot of the things that you're bringing up. One big one being the resolution. It could have ended like all of them on the floor or something, but we didn't even get really an explanation. Like we know what the thing is, but we don't really.
But why
know
did it
what
turn
it
into
is.
a poisonous?
Yeah,
goop
we
that
don't
is
really
super
know what
fast?
it is or like what the effect is. Neither do they. But I don't know. There should have been something, or at the very least, I would have liked if the next episode didn't have to be about that, but if it started with them being like, "That really sucked,"
Addressing it, yeah.
kind of shaking off the being.
And
sick
I'm
for
like
a while.
99.9% sure they don't bring it up.
I've watched the episode today. They do
Yeah.
not. The other issue that I have with the episode is I like the idea of a bottle episode. I like the idea that this is an episode that really puts us not quite in real time, but really what it's like to be like just stuck on a ship all day. It's not always like action and espionage. Sometimes you're just stuck on the ship all day with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Was this the episode where the ship says something and it's like 86 hours before they're going to get where they're going? Was that in this one or is that the next one? I think it's got to be.
It might have been
one.
at the very beginning, yeah.
Which is a long ass time if you think about it to be stuck on a thing. What I think this episode gets wrong is a little bit of what makes bottle episodes so special. We come from talking about a show every week that really knows how to do a bottle episode.
Yeah.
The episode like takes characters out of the mix too fast, and the episode like really needs them having something to work on together or something to strive for together, or it should have gone a little bit heavier on like the horror movie element of it, and it could have been more of a killing them off one by one. It's like almost there, but it's not quite baked all the way through.
There's a huge missed opportunity to actually add a little bit of like horror to this episode. When Spike like just gets through the door and like has his back to it, it would have been perfect if you take that exact same scene and just add one big thud on the thing behind him, like the thing's trying to get him. Like that would have been so easy to do, so smart, and would have added a little bit of like fear to like, oh shit, like this thing's actually after him, you know?
And also Faye in the bathtub. That's a classic horror movie scenario.
Yeah.
It made me think of that movie Slither. Is that what it's called? Do you know
Oh,
Slither?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it made me think of.
Or that Courage the Dog episode when the bitch is coming through the bathtub.
Yeah. Let's talk about the plot of the episode, what little there is to it. So they're stuck on the ship for a long time. And I like the speech at the beginning where Jet's kind of talking about kind of what I said, that, you know, being a bounty hunter and living on your own and working on your own may sound exciting, but they're really self-employed. And that means a lot of times they don't have any work, which means they don't have any money. And I like that. But then basically what happens, Jet, he's like in, what is it of the ship where this other refrigerator is? Like a basement kind of thing? Or is it the attic?
That's like a storage room.
Toys in the attic. It's like the storage room with this old thing. He gets bit by it. The episode has this weird connecting, like the suspense is kind of supposed to be at first we don't know what the thing is, even though we see Jet at the fridge. We think maybe it's a rat. We have those weird like tubular like following something through the ship that we think it might be a rat, and then it's some blob. Ed leads us to believe that's like a space alien, which maybe it kind of is, some like bacteria alien or something.
Yeah.
And this blob chases them down one by one. There's kind of a running thing where Jet and Spike have these goggles that helps them see the thing. I didn't quite get that.
Like infrared.
But they can see the thing without them too. It's just a blob.
Yeah, but it's easier to track something when you can see thermally, because Spike can see like through the walls and stuff. That's how he saw that Ein was like above him.
I feel like we talked about last week how I asked if this episode was like the Fly episode of Breaking Bad, and I feel like it kind of is.
Yeah.
Especially with the Spike angle of like trying to find this thing,
loading
and
up like all
out.
the weapons, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck this little thing up.
It did kind of remind me of that a little bit.
At the very beginning of the episode, when Jet and Faye are having their like little dice game that they're gambling, so he's like, you know, we just trying to make money somehow, even if it's off of each other. I like that, and I kind of wish that this episode ran a little more with that feeling of, you
just
know, this is how we interact with each other. Yeah. I think that you can have the horror element added in, but I think we go away from just mundane time on the ship as soon as possible. Like, it jumps to something
Spike making kebabs, like, with a flamethrower.
Yeah, with a flamethrower and them being disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that the episode gets rid of too many characters too fast. I think that makes it into one of the better Spike episodes so far, just because there's no, like, aura of mysticism around Spike in this episode. He's just this dude who's annoyed and, like, scared and, like, chasing after this thing. So I think it leads to some good human Spike moments. But as far as the rest of the cast... I like that you said
human Spike moments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Spike is, like, trying to kill a bug, essentially. We've all been there where we keep fucking failing, and we're like, how am I losing to this?
It's a little more serious
insect
than that, because as far as he knows, the people that are being bit could die.
Are about to die, yeah.
But you're right, that it's him with a fly swatter, except it's a gun and a flamethrower.
Yeah, and fucking, like, tear gas or something.
This is a relatively decent Ed episode. I think Ed's the only other character that really gets much
I love Ed
do
this
in
episode.
this episode. There are a couple times when Ed grates on my nerves just a little bit, but then there are also times where I think Ed is really funny. There's the moment where Ed's singing different words that rhyme that are disconnected from each other. That doesn't do it justice, but it was a little bit that I thought was cute and funny.
Yeah, I like Ed. I wrote down, because I've been keeping track of like things that are important for you to know about like the world of the show. And one of the things I wrote down is Ed just makes me smile. I love Ed. Like Ed, especially the more I watch the show, the more I love Ed. The first time I watched it, I was kind of with you. I was like, sometimes I think Ed's funny, but sometimes it's a little like obnoxious. But that's kind of the point, I guess. I love Ed.
Realize why Ed is a necessary member of this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Ed and Faye both, because Faye in a different way, because they bring some levity to what's a pretty heavy thing.
Yeah, Spike is so serious. Jet's so serious.
We'll see in the next episode. We're getting back into some Spike backstory becoming relevant in the present kind of stuff, and that's really heavy. So it's really nice to have a character like Ed that can goof around or can find joy in anything, even being hunted down by a space thing. And you say that, I know that I was wrong in the recap or whatever, thinking that Ed had gotten bitten, but I feel like wouldn't Ed have the same effects, if not worse, by eating the thing?
It was meant to be eaten. We eat poisonous stuff all the time.
I eat stickers all the time, dude.
I eat stickers all the time.
I would have loved if this episode was going to go a little more gonzo and be like a one-off thing. What if Ed ate it and then like became a blob?
Turned into like... Yeah, that'd be fucking hilarious. I also think it's a missed opportunity in this episode with Ein. Ein was like on it, like knew that something was up from right away, and you could have had Ein with Spike till the end of the episode.
You could have a whole subplot of Ein chasing this thing through the ship because animals are good at that. Yeah, you're right. A really sad, effective moment when Ein gets taken out.
Yeah, that was so sad. Hearing the little dog whimper.
Nothing hurts worse when you're watching, even though you know it's fake, and even animation, but live action especially, when you're watching something and a dog is hurt, very upsetting.
Oh, makes me want to cry. Yeah. So I wrote down a couple of things, truly, literally a couple of things that are important in the grand scheme of things.
It's a light episode. I don't think that's what makes the episode a slightly less than usual episode. I think it could be light on all those things and be great. My standout has been the Sea Rat episode or whatever. What was that? Sea Rats? Is that what they were?
Sea Rat. The Ganymede
I really
Sea
liked
Rat.
that episode, and it didn't offer a lot as far as the overarching story. It was just a fun adventure. So this could have been great, but what did it
could have. There's a really cool moment with the sound design where Spike is sitting at the computer and he has Ed in one ear and Faye in the other, and at least on Hulu it goes through in surround sound, so it's like directional, which I think is always really cool. I am like a big slut for that shit in like music too. Like if you do like the different things for each ear, I think it's really cool production wise. It's annoying and you can turn it off, but
no, I've been trying to fight it and not bring it up, but I am so obsessed with the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. And you've got to go see it in the biggest theater you can because the sound is fucking incredible.
That's great.
The sound effects, I don't know, just the layered sound and being in a theater where you can hear every single detail of everything. Like, it's such a good sound movie. And if you're an audiophile like that, seeing something on like a small screen, it doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, I gotta go check it out.
You've got to.
The other thing that I wrote down is a little thing that it's good to just be aware of it. When Ed was walking through the ship, there was like that little smiley face in the background. That's kind of Ed's like hacker stuff. So that essentially means that Ed is like ingrained in like the Bebop and stuff with her whole stuff. That's about it.
Sure. Well, I would also like to talk about, usually we talk about the action and the music in episodes. Is there anything music-wise to hang on to in this one? It's pretty quiet, which I like.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. There's a song at the end, but it's not an original song. It's I can't remember what it's called, but the
it's a classical music.
Animation-wise, I really, really liked some of the setup shots at the beginning. There's one of like the ashtray full of cigarettes because they've just been sitting there the whole time with like a beer next to it. I think that image is really, really well done, and a lot of time was put into that one frame, which is really cool. I think there's a couple shots of... I love the way they animate Ed. I think his movement is... or their movement is so unique. And it looks almost inhuman. And I think it's supposed to. And I think the way that they animate Ed
one of the
is
best
incredible.
things in animation is when the characters move distinctly to their personality. When they don't just all have the same movement cycles, because sometimes shows do that. When this character has this type of facial expression and this type of movement. And I think that adds a lot of depth. Even though they're still larger than life, it makes them seem a little bit more like real people. Mm-hmm. And the blob. I like how the blob's animated. I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
How it moves around.
Yeah, the only thing in this episode that I don't like animation-wise, and it's because early digital integration to hand-drawn animation is not fleshed out at the time of Cowboy Bebop being made.
And sometimes
by
it sticks
today,
out.
they can do it really well.
Yeah.
But even today's anime, there are some that do it really poorly. You know, there are some, like, Ufotable is a studio that does it really, really, really well. But there are some that absolutely do not do it well, and it looks really bad. And I think the little, like, tubular, whatever the blob was running through the ship, that's a little bit iffy for me.
It didn't add much to the episode, really. It's an interesting concept, but it's clear that, like, when I first watched the episode, it's almost too dark to even make out what's happening. In
I had
that
forgotten
section.
about it until you mentioned it on, like, talking about this, because it's so in and out for me.
It doesn't add a lot to the episode, and it's a cool idea. I love when they push things like that, but often... I'm such a sucker nowadays that everything is computer generated, which is great. Last night I saw an animated film in the movie theater. I saw The Bad Guys. And
Did you like it?
Animation-wise, it was awesome. The movie was good, but nothing... It wasn't incredible. But the animation was awesome. I actually saw it in 3D. And it was the first time in a long time that I saw a movie in 3D, and I actually thought it added to it.
Oh, that's cool.
It wasn't like... There was nothing, like, built for 3D really in the movie.
Sure.
But the animation style was really cool, and seeing it in that depth was really cool.
Well, and that's the thing I feel about 3D movies nowadays, is it's more so to add depth so you feel like you're there, as opposed to, you know, harken back to Spy Kids 3D when it's a bunch of, like, things flying at you.
3D. Well, it's because 3D isn't really the standard of cool anymore. Like... IMAX or Dolby is the way that you want to go see a movie. 3D is more like the animated movies. You take a kid to see it.
Yeah.
So movies aren't incorporating things for 3D in their movie. They're not like adding 3D tricks. It's just like...
Which I think is good, because there's nothing worse than that. Whoa, my yo-yo's out
Let's
of
talk
control.
about our captain of the Bebop, Mr.
Yeah, I want you to go
Out-of-Control
first, Zach.
Yo-Yo. I don't know, it's kind of a tough episode to pick, so I think I'm going to go with Spike, just because I haven't often, and I like his little plight in this episode.
Sure. I had to go with Radical Edward this week for me. I think it's a great Ed episode. Ed's the only one who's, like, alive, I guess, at the end, so...
Well, next week, now that we've gotten through this one, a little blip in the series, but not a bad one. I think I like it a little bit more than you do, but it is kind of over as soon as it's over and it's ready to move on. I feel like we squeezed a decent amount of juice out of it, though.
Yeah, we did. I'm impressed. I was wondering if this one was going to be hard to talk about for half an hour, because I don't really care for it, but we did it.
Well, next week, what's the next one called? Is it Jupiter Jazz?
Jupiter Jazz!
We're talking about Jupiter Jazz Part 1 next week.
Part 1 of maybe the 2 best episodes of the show.
Sure. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to dive deep into it. And I'm excited to talk about it with all the people that listen to this.
Heck yeah!
Do you have anything last to say to the people?
Yeah, don't keep space lobsters in your fridge for a year unless you want to get big old purple
Keep them
rashes.
lobsties frozen. Don't put them in the
freeze
fridge.
them. Don't
Freeze
fridge
them
them,
lobsties. Bye.
Bye!
Thanks for listening. Support this show and our podcast network at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast, where starting at $5 a month, you can get immediate access to all 40 outrageous sessions of Brokeback Bebop. See you next time, Space Cowboy.